Hello and welcome to Astrology, Origins, and Building Blocks. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're taking this class. It's my second class, and we're going to have hopefully a lot of fun or at least a lot of information. I had several of you request in a class on astrology. Astrology is a big subject, guys, like huge. So, what I've done is I've broken it down into two classes. This first one, we're going to go over the origins and the basics of astrology. And in the next class, we're going to do astrology as it relates to us personally, as it relates to our zodiac signs and how that works with our everyday lives and how that interferes with our readings. I shouldn't say interferes. How how that works with our readings, how that works with our horoscopes, why our horoscopes are our horoscopes, that sort of thing. But in this class, we're going to focus on what astrology is and how it came to be that way. So let's just get started. So, the beginning of astrology is really quite neat because you can trace it way, way back. A lot of people think it started in Rome or Greece. It did not. It actually goes way, way back to like the Mayan cultures. They gave it to Rome, who then gave it to Greece. Is it Rome then Greece? Or is it Greece? It was Greece then Rome. Now, when most people think of astrology, they're like, oh, yeah, it was, that Greece guy, Aristotle. It wasn't. Now, he did make some breakthroughs, quite a bit of breakthroughs in astrology, but he was not the father of astrology by any means. He took what he was given and he expounded on it, and he made great strides. But he did so with a base that was given to him. So it was Mayans, Greek, Romans, and then the rest of the world, which is really neat because, again, what they knew of astrology ended up being just this much, just this little much, and what we have now is like huge, and that's with everything. They would lose their minds on what we know about it today. But for them, it was huge news. It was a big deal. So, I know we don't typically think about this, but if someone were to ask you, how would you define astrology? You might say, well, it's the zodiac. It's the stars in the zodiac, and there's 12 signs, and the stars are involved, and it's hard to define those words. But I actually have the definition of astrology right here, and maybe that'll help clear some things up a little bit. Astrology: the study of celestial beings, planets, stars, moon, sun, has an influence on us, those born under certain star positions, and share similar traits, so the zodiac and horoscope were created. That's the definition of astrology. Well, we've dug a little further, because after that you might be thinking, well, how do you define zodiac? Now, we could all come up with, those are the 12 signs that we all know, and that's how you define zodiac. Well, it's not quite. I mean, that's close, but it's not quite right. Zodiac is defined as a belt of the heavens within either side of the epileptic is ecliptic. I'm sorry, that's my bad. I have terrible handwriting. I'm sorry. is divided into 12 equal parts. So the 12 equal parts are what? Our horoscope. Well, how can we define that really crazy word that I was having trouble pronouncing because my handwriting is crap? Ecliptic. There we go. I got it. It is a great circle on the celestial sphere representing the sun's apparent path during the year, so called because the lunar and star eclipses can only occur when the moon crosses it. So this is talking about the eclipses that can happen, in any given year. Because, it only happens when the moon crosses the sun, which does happen, not often, but happens. Because that also changes the energy a bit, especially depending on what sign it decides to do this on. So, that's a big help. So here's something really neat that, well, I find it neat. I don't know if you'll find it neat. I find it neat. So when astrology first hit the scene, it was saved for only the wisest of the wise people. These people were, the top of the lecturers. They were the very top of the top professionals and college teachers, and they were regarded as the best of the best. They were told there was nothing off limits to them because, again, they were considered the smartest people alive. Because what? They knew astrology, so they had the power to look at the stars and tell the future. So they were highly esteemed. They were invited to salons with presidents, with world leaders, politicians, extremely wealthy businessmen, you name it. If it was at the top, they were there. They did not want for anything because they were extremely well paid. It was crazy. They were almost worshipped, but only in the way like we worship like someone who has a lot of money today. Well, they were the reality TV stars of the day, but nobody had TVs. So this happened. This went on for a while, a long while, until someone decided they probably had a bad reading, or a reading they didn't like, or they just didn't like the way that the astrologers had all this power. But whatever the reason was, somebody decided that they didn't like the astrologers having all this power, and they started claiming that they were witches and had sold their souls to the devil. Now, the funny thing about that is witch actually means wise one. So when they're going around pointing their fingers and yelling witch at all these people, they're actually yelling, oh, get them, they're a wise one. Which really doesn't seem like much of an insult. But people jumped on board. It was the weirdest thing. They were all the rage one minute, and the next minute someone called them a witch, and everybody was ready to fire up the stake. Mob mentality. What can you do? So it started with witch trials all over the place, not just in Salem, but witch trials everywhere, including other countries. London had a fair amount of witch trials, for sure. But witches went into hiding. Um, some of them were killed, some of them were not, obviously. But a lot of innocent people were killed. And I say innocent, but I mean, even the people who were witches were innocent as well. But some people who knew nothing of astrology were murdered just because it became a way to get rid of people more than anything, which is really depressing. And that fueled the hatred of these type of people. Eventually, over time, it became just you shouldn't be around them. They're evil. There no tolerance for them. They struggled on their own for a long time. At least I am happy that nowadays it's quite a bit more accepted than it was. So I'm happy about that. We're getting out there more, and we're more prominent than we used to be. So yay for that. But the also crazy thing about it is because of astrology, we have astronomy, we have alchemy, and we have meteorology. So let's back that train up. Because of astrology, we have astrology, which means because of astrology, we were able to put a man on the moon. We would not have a space program if it wasn't for astrology. We would not have any type of rockets. We wouldn't have any of those things. NASA would not exist if we did not have astrology. We would not have alchemy if we did not have astrology. We would not have doctors, nor would we have any medicine at all if we did not have astrology. We would not have meteorology if we did not have astrology. We wouldn't have any weathermen or women or robots. I don't know who they are. I mean, there's probably a weather robot. I don't know. Seems like a thing. But like, seriously, our weather forecast would be like, I don't know, just guess. Be terrible. We'd get no warning for big storms. We'd have no knowledge of when to evacuate in bad situations. All of this, all of it, and more. The credit goes to astrology. All of it. And this horrible thing that we were cursed with, the thing that made them call us witches, has helped our society this entire time. We as humans would not have been able to advance without astrology. We wouldn't be able to have most sciences without astrology. It's the grandfather of so many. Of course, a lot of people are willing to debate that, but it's actually true. Google it. Okay, we're going to move on to the moon and the sun and the relationship between the two. So, as we know, the moon has a very feminine, we call it a feminine energy, and the sun has a very male energy. So, let's talk about that. Let's talk about why the moon is feminine versus why the sun is masculine. Okay, so the first thing to understand about the moon is that, she has control over things. She controls the tide. She has a major influence on women. She controls it. She almost controls how we feel sometimes by the way by her position in the sky. Why is that, you may ask? Well, the moon is on a 28-day cycle. So are women. And I understand women have health problems, and their health problems sometimes bounce them out of that cycle. But we were born to have a 28-day cycle. A lot of times, women will say, you're wrong. Older women will say, you're wrong. That's because all of our lives we have been fed terribly wrong information. And it's not malicious. It's because our parents, our guardians, our whatevers have also been given wrong information. For instance, I'm sure a lot of you have been told that a pregnancy lasts 9 months. It does not. It lasts 10 months, 40 weeks. Look it up. Google it. I'm serious. 40 weeks. That's 10 months. Do the math. And again, everything I'm saying, if you don't think it's right, please Google it. Because I promise you, I don't want to teach you something that's wrong. And if you find that it is wrong, just message me in the comments or put it on the group chat at Readers Reading Readers on Facebook. I promise you, I will get to the bottom of the untruth and recover what is true. And I will make a public apology, I promise. Because I don't want to teach you something wrong. And I promise you, I will make up for it. So again, if you're uncomfortable by anything I say and you think maybe it's not the truth, Google it or research it or find out what the truth is. And please let me know, because then I've got it wrong too. So, pregnancy, 40 weeks, which is 10 months. Also, a woman's cycle is not 30 days. It is 28 days. Unfortunately true. Our cycles are synced to the moon. Now, what phase of the moon starts your cycle? I have no idea. It's different for every woman. So, and there's that. The other reason that the moon is feminine is because she receives instead of sends out. She receives light from the sun. She receives it, changes it, and then gives back. Which is the perfect mother and birthing metaphor. Because we as women, we receive something, change it, and give back what? We give back a child. Because that's the way the law of the universe is supposed to work. I don't say that as an anti-gay statement whatsoever. I myself, not exactly straight. I say that because generally to have a baby, there has to be some male and female action. Again, I know that today there are other ways, and I support those other ways. Trust me. In the beginning of the world, there weren't all those fancy options. That's all I'm saying. That's it. That's all I'm saying. I promise. I'm not saying those are other options or those beginning of the world options are the only ones we should use. Nope, never saying that. I think the alternative options are awesome. However, I'm just saying they didn't have that option in the beginning. So they made this connection between the sun and the earth, or the sun and the moon. That being said, so the moon, it takes the light, changes it, and reflects it out. And that's even without the children metaphor. We as women do that. Anything we're given, we're going to make something beautiful out of it and then give it back. If you give us something, we're going to make whatever's good and beautiful and right of that thing, and we're going to give it back. For instance, you give us, I know everybody's seen this meme, but it's very true. If you give us money, we'll buy groceries. If you give us groceries, we'll give you a dinner. If you give us a house, we'll give you a home. And then the last line of that is, what do you think we're going to give you if you give us crap? So it's the same concept with the moon. Also, women, find out what moon sign you were born under, because everyone has technically 3 signs. And we're going to go over more of that in the next class. But everyone has 3 signs. They have their star sign, which is their regular old zodiac, the one that we all know. One is their moon sign, which is the position of the moon on the day you were born. And their rising sign, which is the position of the sun, I think, when you were born. I'll have to look it up. For instance, I'm weird. I am Virgo, Sagittarius, Virgo. So I'm a double Virgo. It is not pleasant to live in, to be my roommate. It's just not. So your moon sign is kind of like a shadow of yourself. Some call it the evil twin, but it's not always an evil twin. Sometimes it can be. It's sort of like, I don't want to say your other personality, but kind of. Again, we're going to get into that more in the next class. So the sun. Sun is considered a masculine energy. And the reason why is because the sun penetrates. It penetrates without consent. And that's not the non-consent. That's not why it's a masculine energy. The penetration is. It penetrates. It can burn you no matter what you do. For instance, have you ever been out on a sunny day and you put on all of the sunscreen and done all of the things and it still burned you? Yeah, sun can do that if it wants to. Ever been out on a cloudy day and the sun still burned you? Yeah, sun can do that if it wants to. So it can burn you anytime it wants. It's associated with being strong and dependable. So you always know the types of things that the sun is going to do. It's going to shine bright. It's going to be hot. And it's probably going to burn you. Because I think the sun has an attitude problem. But that's just me. The sun gives off the energy of a warrior going into battle and staying in battle. And that's another reason why it's more like a masculine energy, because it gives off the energy as it's constantly riding into battle. Um, and we're all like, chill, son. You ain't got to be that hardcore. We're not at war. But the sun doesn't hear us. It really doesn't. So, we have our masculine, which is the sun, and our feminine, which is the moon, and they go beautifully together. And that's a good thing, because if we didn't have one of them, the other one would be severely weakened. They truly need each other, and that goes with that's a huge metaphor for everything. Like, everything has its partner, and they go with each other. For instance, it helps so much that you find a place where you belong, whether it's a coven, whether it's a group that you feel like you belong to, whether it's, a best friend or a mate or somewhere where you feel at home. Some place where you need the other person and the other person needs you. Or you need the group and the group needs you. It's so important to find that bond. Because you're going to keep searching until you find the half that feels your soul. And once you find it, it's going to be amazing. And I hope you all do. I mean, I hope you already have. My goodness. Now we're going to talk about something that we all know and love. Mercury retrograde. Well, what the hell is it? I'm here to put all of the mysteries on the table. Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde. It's an illusion that makes it appear as though Mercury is moving the opposite direction. This happens because of the difference in orbit between the Earth and Mercury. So, understand what's going on. It appears that Mercury is moving backwards. Okay? What's actually happening is the Earth is moving slightly weird. So it's not moving, we are. And because we're moving weird and Mercury seems to look weird, we call it Mercury retrograde, because it couldn't be us. And that, okay, so when our planet moves weird and we look at Mercury and it seems to look weird, something subconscious happens to our brain, and we're like, uh-oh. Danger, Will Robinson. Something freaky's going on. And our brains are thinking, oh crap, what's going on? And we start to feel anxious. We start to feel nervous and restless and chaotic. And we may even make some sporadic decisions and, just not really think about things, because our brains are sending out messages saying, we're not going to live that long because our planet is blowing up. And that seems very dramatic. But the truth is, any movement by our planet that's unusual signals our brain that the planet is about to die. Because our planet's not supposed to move like that. So our subconscious is like, oh, wait, this is wrong. We're going to die here. Um, and that's not what's going on. And the weird thing is it happens frequently. And our subconscious brain never catches on. Because as soon as it detects something going on with our planet, and then with another planet, it just freaks out again. So that's what Mercury retrograde does. It makes something that's not a big deal seem like the end of the world. So it's in this time when you're going to want to take cleansing baths as a way of calming down. You're going to want to, do any meditating that you want to do or that you can do to really calm yourself. Burn your incense. Really take care of yourself. I have found a great book. It's called How to Survive Mercury Retrograde. That's what it looks like. And it's by Bernie Ashaman. It's a great book about, surviving Mercury retrograde. It's got a lot of helpful tips in here, and it's a really good read. So, if you're looking for a good book on Mercury retrograde, this one's a really good one. So, in conclusion, there's so many places where science meets magic, and I think those places are extremely beautiful. Astrology, it's all that. Astrology has and always will be the place where science and magic meet, because astrology is a science. They call it a pseudoscience, which means not really a science. However, I think my vote is that it is an actual science, because, and my evidence is that because of this science, we have all of these other sciences which are not pseudosciences. So how did a So how did a pseudoscience sprout all of these pseudosciences? Y'all, I'm telling you, that is a tongue twister from hell. Anyway, also not the point. In conclusion, I would like to say this is the first class on astrology. The next class will be, we'll be talking about zodiacs and why we are the sign we are, and how to use our zodiac signs in our readings, in our everyday life, and how to use it with our clients, and not to overuse it. I know a lot of people rely very heavily on it, but knowing when to use it and when not to use it. And I think it's going to be really, really beneficial. Also, forgive me, but I'm going to plug the Readers Reading Readers group on Facebook. we have a mentorship program. You can sign up to be either a mentor or a mentee, or both. I don't care. Um, we would love to have you if you'd like. Uh, each week, we've got content coming out, and I just think it would be very beneficial if anybody's trying to learn some more. I hope to see you there. And like I said, we've got our next class coming out on astrology. I don't have the date for that yet, but as soon as I have it, you guys will have it. Also, if you're listening to this video and you find my Facebook group and you tell me that you saw the YouTube video, I will give you a free reading. And I don't just mean I will draw one card for you. I mean I will give you a free full reading that's with my Oracle deck, 4 cards, and with my traditional deck, Celtic Cross. So, if you find my Facebook group or me on Facebook, and let me know that you saw this, then I will give you a free reading. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, so as soon as my classes come out, you'll know and you can watch them at your leisure. I really appreciate everyone and all you've done, all you do, and your willingness to learn. So I'm here for you guys. And if you can think of a class that you want to see, just type it in the comments. I will make sure to get it on the list. Okay. Bye. Love and light. Blessed be.